I'm recording on my side. I'm going to allow you to record this because this is your show, but I'm just going to record it for myself, and I'm going to get going now. I'm going to ask the question. Just talk until you're ready to go on to question number 2.
One second. Yep. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I didn't want you to start. Can you hear my fan? Is it okay if I leave that on?
Yeah, just, you know what? I'm gonna.
I can shut it off.
No. We'll shut it off and see what it sounds like. Okay, I'm gonna make sure to get some dead sound. Okay.
I'll just leave it off.
No. We'll just, so right now, no. Give me 10 seconds of silence, starting now. Okay. And what I can do in post-production is take that out.
Okay.
You won't hear it. But we're gonna get started now, okay?
Yep.
I've just read the script. I've got this going. And here we go. Q&A segment, what is content syndication? All right, Eric, let's start with the obvious, but often confused question. What is content syndication in the B2B world?
Great question. So I get asked this one quite a bit, and I'm surprised that more practitioners in marketing and B2B aren't as schooled on the advantages and how content syndication all works. So content syndication is the intentional and strategic distribution of educational content. So think your white papers, your analyst research, explainer documents, comparison docs, and even some case studies distributed to respected, authoritative third-party websites, publishers, and research portals where your audience already goes and is opted in for their research.
Is it just reposting of your content on other websites?
Not that simple. So whereas reposting is kind of passive, syndication is active. It's intentional. So, for instance, we have a network of 200 plus, over 200 industry-specific research portals and websites and publishers. So we try to match up our clients targeting their ICP with the select audiences that match that. So if they're targeting, directors and VPs of IT in hospitals, then we have specific networks for healthcare and hospitals that we would match that up with naturally. And those folks have opted in and they're looking for this type of research.
What makes a content syndication campaign successful?
So number one, the content itself. So it has to be high quality. Not every piece of content will make it. You have to have unique insights. You have to have cited statistics. And it has to be a standpoint or viewpoint where your audience can learn something. So no, syndication depends very heavily on the content, but it also depends, I would say, just as heavily on where it's distributed, on the websites, on the portals, on the research places where it's being hosted. And then the third part, most importantly, is the follow-up. So once we generate that lead, once we get someone to download your content, what you do with that person is very, very important.
And what's the difference between syndicating content and running paid ads?
So paid ads are looking for clicks. So these are ads where you can gather anonymous clicks. And back in the day, these led to conversions quite predictably. Now it's starting to drop off where clicks just aren't as effective. Content syndication is different in that instead of someone registering a click onto your ad, one of your prospects, someone in your audience actually has to take some actions to download this piece of content. So they have to opt in. Hugely valuable. This allows you to reach out to them in the future. They've had to complete a contact form. So now you have their contact details. You can reach back out to them. They have to answer some qualifying questions and they have to download the content. So compare that with a simple anonymous click. There's really no comparison.
Okay, so that ends question 1 fully.
Okay. A little longer than I meant to go.
No. It's fine. It's fine because you're going to have more to work with later. Okay, so and I think I'm going to use this as like a placard, like a card in the video, but I'm going to go like this. Okay, why are one do it again? Why are more companies turning to syndication? So
We've
no, no,
seen,
oh, okay, that was the header, but the question is, so why now? So do you want to answer this? So why now, or go with the first one?
let's go with why are more companies turning to syndication
Okay,
as
so
the
let me.
question.
Okay, no problem, and I'll do the follow-up prompts. We're good. Why then are more companies turning to syndication?
Well, there's a few reasons. Namely, there's real problems with paid ads right now. There's tons of fraud. Some stats say that 50% of all clicks are fake. The costs are skyrocketing, and the conversions just aren't really there. So the marketers that we work with, that we speak to, are looking for alternatives. They're not as enamored with the clicks and tracking some of those kind of irrelevant metrics. They want verified folks. They want people that have actually engaged with their content.
Why are we seeing more companies, especially in enterprise, software as a service, and tech, moving budget away from paid clicks and towards content syndication?
Yeah, I think it kind of, to segue from my first answer, I think folks are just getting fed up with the lack of engagement, with the lack of conversions, with the lack of activity they're getting from these huge paid ad budgets. The clicks aren't there, the conversions aren't there, the costs keep rising, and there's better alternatives now. So I'm not surprised as more budgets are being shifted. And the last factor is LLM SEO. So people are starting to catch on that the old SEO clicks, paid search isn't really working anymore. LLM SEO runs on content. So our whole business, our whole solutions are built on content as well. It's a natural progression.
Is it about then better lead quality overall?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, again, comparing an anonymous click with someone that is a verified member of your audience, they have chosen to opt in, they've completed a contact form, they've answered a couple qualifying questions. It's night and day. We've actually teased out the line, and we can back it up with data that one content download is worth 1,000 paid clicks.
Is it more cost effective than Google or LinkedIn ads then?
For sure. So we see conversions usually hover around 1% from a paid ad to an opportunity, right? So let's say that cost per opportunity then is extremely high. When you're paying only $60, $70 per each content downloader, and the conversions are 3, 4 times that of what a paid ad will convert, that price per contact, that price per lead starts to really be driven downward as the conversions to opportunities and new deals start to come in from these leads.
Can it work for startups then, or is this just an enterprise play?
No, it's definitely can work for startups. One of the main reasons is paid media, paid ads, paid digital is extremely expensive. If you're going to do it right, especially as a startup with no brand, with no recognition in the marketplace, you're going to have to really double down on ads if that's your path. For that time in the startup era, content syndication is much more affordable as long as you're producing the content, which most folks are anyway. Why not make it work for you? Why not increase the ROI and touch it to more of your ICP?
That ends that section. Okay.
Yep.
So now I'm going to talk about the LM SEO and get ready to talk about that. Okay.
1 second.
Okay. No problem.
So is the next question, let's talk AI.
Yes.
How does
Yep.
okay.
Yep. Whenever you're ready.
Yep.
Oh, you ready?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
No problem. No problem. Let's talk AI. How does syndication help with LLM SEO?
So as you know, LLM SEO is the next frontier, right? AI is taking over. The LLMs, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, Claude, they're leading the charge right now. So instead of the old way where someone would go to Google, maybe type in best CRM for manufacturing, and they would get a link, a set of links. Then they could click through and find those websites. Those links are gone. It's 0-click answers now. So if someone enters that same question into ChatGPT, they're not going to get links. They're going to get an answer with defined vendors that they're suggesting. With one click through the answer, you're onto their website now. So I've kind of screwed that one up, Trev. Shit.
No, okay, do it again. Do it again. Do it again. We'll cut that. So I'm gonna lead you in again. Okay. Let's talk. Okay. Let's talk AI. How does syndication help with LLM SEO?
It's a great question. So LLM SEO is the next big frontier. AI has taken over everything. And the AIs, they love content, but it needs to be distributed across respected third-party websites, unbiased websites. This gives the impression that the content is valuable, that it's being shared and distributed, and that many folks are downloading it. So the way that the LLMs surface answers now is much different than Google. Someone doesn't have to receive a number of links like they would from Google. With ChatGPT, Perplexity, et al., you're getting the full answer. So if your brand, if your solutions aren't in that answer, then you're not going to get found. And the way to get your brand in that answer is by distributing your content far and wide.
So how does content syndication help your content get picked up or cited by these AI engines?
So when content is structured correctly, the LLMs like canonical structuring, meaning the same terms repeated over and over. They like that consistency. So if you're talking about your solutions in a certain way with certain phrases, continue to do that. They want to see that consistency. They love structure as well. So for instance, they love kind of breakout summaries within the midst of a blog post. They love numbered lists. So if you can say, the top 5 reasons why my CRM overcomes these challenges, that will be more attractive to the LLMs. And then finally, they love it when, as I've mentioned, that content is distributed, not just on Reddit, not just on your website, not just on Medium, but across third-party sites that you have no control of. When those start picking up your content and the LLMs see it across 5, 10, 15, 30 reputable sites, that's when they pay attention. That's when your brand is included in that answer.
Are LLMs really crawling content then from syndicated networks and third-party publications?
Absolutely. So this is one of the primary places that they're crawling, we're finding. Again, it has to do with the unbiased, the third-party nature of these sites. And for our clients, we're structuring their summaries and their landing pages to be LLM optimized, so that when they're crawling their content, when they're crawling their landing pages, when they're crawling their abstracts, they're now all optimized and the most attractive for LLMs.
What makes content more LLM friendly?
So it has to be educational. So real insights, unique standpoints, obviously not AI written. That's what they're looking for. And then further, I can't repeat it enough. It has to be structured properly. This is starting to become common knowledge amongst content creators. Again, the repetition of certain brand keywords, the structure so that it's easily scanned, the summaries that are included so that it can just grab a summary and pull it out of the entire doc, serve it right up for the LLMs, and they will take it.
And syndication help a brand become a source that gets quoted or referenced by AI?
Absolutely. Again, it's all about that consistency. It's all about those LLMs constantly seeing your brand across multiple websites. It's all about how it's structured repeatedly over and over. The LLMs will take notice and start gravitating. You've seen some of the big brands that are constantly showing up in the answers. There's a science behind it. It's not just random.
That ends that section.
Cool.
What kind of results are you seeing at LeadSpot?
Yeah, so we actually just finished a study where we reviewed 500 syndications across 18 of our campaigns. They spread across 4 or 5 different industries, and we were tracking several different factors. But for instance, we saw a almost 4 times higher LLM mentions from the content being syndicated than beforehand. We saw a 28% increase in branded search, and we saw a 42% higher SQL conversion rates during the campaign and within 90 days after it. So all of these lifts can be attributed absolutely to distributing the content.
So, without naming names, unless you want to, what kind of impact are you seeing then from content create? Let me say that again. Fuck. Without naming names, unless you want to, what kind of impact are you seeing from content syndication?
So, for instance, I will name names. So, UKG is a great customer of ours. They are the HRMS market leader. They're 16,000 employees, $4 billion company. With us, with our leads, in 6 months alone, they closed $1.8 million in new sales from our leads after a standard 3 to 4 touch nurture after we delivered the leads. They saw a $22 per lead ROI at the end of our campaign. And so the 1.8 million in new sales was much higher than we expected. And no, you know what? I want to do that one again, Trav. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, no problem. I'll read the question again. Without naming names, unless you want to, what kind of impact are you seeing from content syndication?
So a great example is UKG. So this is the 16,000 employee, $4 billion HRMS market leader. And they ran a campaign with us for about 18 months. But in the first 6 months, they closed 1.8 million in new sales, completely new sales, no uplifting existing customers or anything like that. They weren't in their CRM. There were no current opportunities. They were net new clients that we brought in from the syndication campaigns. So I mean, $1.8 million in 6 months, it's pretty hard to beat.
What's the average conversion rate from syndicated leads?
Hold on a sec on that one. Oh, there we go. Okay. I got it. We can do that again. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. What's the average conversion rate from syndicated leads?
So we track SQL conversions. I mean, we've seen as high as 40%, believe it or not. Usually on average, it's 20 to 30% SQL conversions. But even better than that, we've actually seen, with UKG is a good example, an average of 5% SQO conversions. So sales qualified opportunities. Usually this is much lower. Our average is between 5 and 8%. And we actually hit 12% for one campaign for UKG.
How are your clients using that content, white papers, case studies, etc.?
I'm sorry, Chad. We're going to have to do that one again, too.
No problem. Let me know when you're ready. I can't see you, so just whenever you're ready. Just tell me you're ready.
Yeah, one sec.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
I'm sorry. What's the question again?
How are your clients using that content, white papers, case studies, etc.?
How are they using it? Okay. Yeah, we can do that. All right, I'm ready.
Okay, no problem. Here I go again. How are your clients using that content, white papers, case studies, etc.?
Yeah, so it's great for educating their audience, right? So this is content syndication leads are top of funnel. So it's a great way to impact your audience at their awareness stage. So they haven't exhibited public intent signals, which means they're not getting hammered by the hundreds and thousands of companies who are tracking those intent signals. So if you can get interest at the awareness stage, that's the real value of content syndication leads.
So what does done right look like?
Done right, content syndication done right. I would say it's a minimum of about 20 syndicated sites. The more, 20 seems to be the benchmark. Below 20, we didn't see the type of lifts in LLM SEO connected type of metrics that we were looking at. So about 20 syndication is the minimum benchmark. You want to, again, make sure that we're selecting educational pieces. So explainer docs, comparison docs, white papers work really, really well. We want to structure it properly. And we want to build for each piece of content an LLM SEO optimized landing page as well. So within that landing page, we're giving an optimized abstract of the piece of content. We're giving a bulleted summary so the highlights can easily be parsed by the LLMs. And then we're finishing it off with a quote from the content itself to just give it that kind of primary source and give it the legitimacy that LLMs love as well.
All right, last section, the final thoughts. Just give you a second and then we'll do this. Just let me know when you're ready. No rush.
One sec.
Yep. Okay. Final thoughts. Where does this fit into a demand gen strategy?
Well, put it like this. So paid ads are an interruption. Cold email is outreach. Content syndication is really more about inbound discovery in the places where your ICP, where your audience is already going to research.
So if I'm a B2B demand gen marketing, let me say that again, I'm sorry. So if I'm a B2B demand gen marketer listening to this, where should I start with content syndication? And how should I think about it as part of a broader lead generation? And how should I think about it as part of a broader lead generation and brand visibility plan?
So I would start with reviewing your content. Make sure it's up to date. Make sure it's not just case studies or blog articles. Spend the time, the resources, sometimes the money to have a good white paper. Ebooks are extremely popular. I've mentioned explainers and vendor comparison docs, all very popular. So I would say start with the content, make sure everything's in order. And importantly, make sure you have everything, you have content for each stage of the journey. So awareness, consideration, and that buying decision stage. It's really, really important.
Is it for top of funnel awareness or for mid funnel engagement then?
Yeah, so definitely top of funnel awareness. So they will convert, obviously, become mid funnel, become down funnel, become opportunities. But it's a fantastic top of funnel awareness lever that you can be pulling.
How often should I syndicate content?
So every quarter, I mean, at least every quarter. Some folks like to take a month or two off as they're creating new content or reviewing the leads, but we suggest constantly running campaigns. You'll have a constant influx of new leads. And now, even better, perhaps, you're going to be a darling in the eyes of the LLM SEOs.
Can I measure the impact? Or is this more of a visibility / authority play?
Good question. So you can definitely measure the impact. As you see traffic measured from specific LLMs, you'll see ChatGPT traffic increase, Perplexity traffic increase, and so on. But you'll also see, oh shit, I fucked up. I gotta do that.
No problem. I'll say it again. Can I measure the impact? Or is this more of a visibility / authority play?
You can definitely measure the impact. So you can track branded search, direct traffic from the LLMs. You can measure time on site. And most importantly, measure conversions from syndicated leads. As I mentioned, we do quite well as compared to paid ads in terms of conversions. You can look at 20, 30% minimum SQL conversions. That's pretty darn good.
Okay, we're done. I'll switch to the voiceover, me leading this out, and then that'll be it.
Perfect.
Let me see here. Well, fuck. Oh, here we go. So you have this recorded. Just take a minute and go through and watch it again and just note anything you absolutely want scrubbed, or even if you want to do it again. I'm going to get started on the format of the show with the questions and the color and all that good stuff, and doing the voiceover stuff. And if you get that back to me, I can have this ready to go by Friday. I mean, it's 4th of July, but I'll be working. You know how that is.
Yeah.
And, have it ready for you by Saturday, no problem, or sooner if I get rolling. So
Cool.
just watch it, note the time code, send it to me. This worked out real well. It's going to sound organic and authentic,
I
but
agree.
it really showcases you and what your thing is. And it's working because I'm looking at the views. I'm like, God damn, dude, he's getting some views off this.
I can't believe it, man. It's this has changed everything for us, Trav. I can't thank
Yeah.
you enough, man. You opened our eyes to something that, frankly, I kind of dismissed. I feel silly, like thinking it's only LinkedIn, it's only email, that's the only place we need to be. Dude, on TikTok, I never dreamed we'd be on TikTok. I'm getting views there. It's like it all helps. One thing I noticed though, it's pretty interesting, is that so for me, I don't do well on TikTok, Instagram. Comparatively, Jameson is killing it on Instagram and he's killing it on TikTok. He's got more views than both of us combined. So I definitely think the age helps, and I'm telling you, he's going to be real appealing to some of these ladies as we keep going.
In the aggregate go is all like it's a three-pronged approach. It's a three-layered approach. And in the aggregate, you guys are just spread out there. And to your point, there's no one else fucking doing this.
Yep.
Like I looked, I'm like, there's no one else really talking about this like he is and moving all in. So this is
True.
really cool. It's really good practice for me in certain parts of podcast production, and it's working out great. So again, just watch it, note your time codes. I'll get started on my end, and we could have this ready to go Friday or Saturday.
I'll definitely have it back to you tomorrow.
No problem, man.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Trav. I really appreciate you.
Have a good weekend, dude.
You too, buddy.